Poland's constitutional court has ruled that some European laws clash with its constitution. The judges decided the country's EU membership did not give the European Union Court supreme legal authority and did not mean that Poland had shifted its sovereignty to the EU. They said no state authority in Poland would consent to an outside limitation of its powers. The decision has angered Brussels and is likely to further damage its troubled relationship with the country.
We are concerned about the situation, and I will repeat, we don't want to have any deviation with those principles, the primacy of the EU law, the binding character of all the decisions of the ECJ for all the authorities, but also for the courts at the national level, and the exclusive competence of the European Court of Justice to rule that an act of an EU institution is contrary to the EU laws. You know what kind of tools we have in our toolbox, so I'm just saying that we will use all the different tools, but in the best possible way.
A group of protesters with banners reading "We are Europeans" gathered in front of the Constitutional Court in Warsaw shortly after the verdict. Around 80% of people in Poland support the country's EU membership.
Well, for more on that, I'm joined by Alberto Alemano. He's a professor of European Union law policy. Thanks very much for your time today. I'll start off by asking you, what are the implications of this, of the Constitutional Court ruling?
Well, this ruling is probably the most serious of a number of challenges to the European legal order. This is all the more so as it comes from a constitutional court that is made of illegally nominated judges, and in a case which has been brought by the country prime minister himself. The implications are multiple. This is going to be a very consequential ruling because it comes at a time in which many cases are pending in the relations between Poland and the European Union. I think the way in which the European Union has to respond to this ruling is to keep retaining the funds that Poland is entitled to receive according to the Next Generation EU. In other words, this ruling is giving yet another reason to the European Union to hold back approval of this national recovery plan. But this is not all. We can also expect an infringement proceeding to be initiated from the European Commission against Poland for actually departing from the principle of the primacy of European law. And all this will be extra cases on the multiple ones which are already, let's say, ongoing.
Why does the EU want to keep countries like Poland, like Hungary, within the Union?
Well, it is not really the European Union choice to accept or to retain a country. There's no mechanism that allows the European Union or other member states of the Union to push out a country which is not longer compliant with the obligations that any country belonging to the Union should respect. So it is really up to the member states in question, in this case Poland and its government and political leadership, to decide whether it's still worth it to stay in the Union. And here we really see a situation in which we have a country that wants to have a cake but eat it at the same time. The European Union funds are very interesting, the Poles are very pro-European, but the government wants to remain very free in deciding how to control the media, how to control the judicial, and this is simply not possible under the rules of the game.
So what do you think will happen next?
Well, I think this attack by the Constitutional Court of Poland and his own government vis-à-vis the European Union legal order is really a frontal attack. Is set to somehow backfire both in the European Union, where the National Recovery Plan of Poland will remain unapproved, but also backfire in Poland, where the Poles will start questioning whether their government stance in the European Union is the most sensible one, because at the end of the day, those funds won't reach the pockets of the citizenry and of the companies in an historical time in which this European fund and this next generation EU should actually allow Poland, like many other countries, to bounce back.